the big news was Fred Warner and DK's fight, and then really what Trent Williams said after the game. That stole the headlines because he really came out in support of Brock Purdy. And it was, I haven't heard anyone associated with Brock speak that strongly for him.
It just seems that there were so many haymakers that he was throwing downfield today. What was that like from your perspective?
I mean, you go back game after game, that's what he's been doing. I mean, you know, last time we was at home, he had a long throw against Tampa with BA down the sideline. Obviously, hit Kittle for a long play. I mean, I don't get why people say he's a system quarterback or got to show you more, because no system quarterback makes tight window throws before they're there, throwing people open, putting the ball into a window and trusting his receiver to get there, you know, layering balls over linebackers who are in good position and still getting the ball over their head, getting it to the playmaker. Just so accurate. You watch a lot of his throws, the accuracy gives them guys a chance to run after the catch. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. I know, obviously, with him being Mr. Irrelevant, you know, everybody is slow to give him his flowers, because then that says what they say about a lot of scouting departments. If you let a guy like this slip to Mr. Irrelevant pick, you know. So I think a lot of people are slow to give him his props just because of his draft status and where he was drafted. If he was, you know, if he was Zach Wilson, I think we'd probably be, you know, unanimous MVP, the next coming of Aaron Rodgers or somebody like that. But since he's a Mr. Irrelevant pick, you know, and this is, what, almost 2 years of him putting just unbelievable quarterback play on film, and it's still taking guys, you know, saying that, hey, I think it's Debo, I think it's Trent, I think it's, you know, like, yeah, I don't, you know, that's not realistic, you know. And in locker rooms, guys who know football, guys who study us before they play us, there's no way you can look at him and say that's a system quarterback.
And essentially what Trent Williams said is, I'm tired of people downplaying what he does. He's not a system quarterback. Put on the film. If you know what you're looking at, you'll see, I don't know, he didn't use the word elite, but you'll see a really good quarterback. And if you don't see that, if all you see is a system quarterback, you don't know ball. And he said, well, first of all, he's also said that Brock doesn't get enough credit. The Niners are kind of obsessed with credit. I want to talk about credit first. Sure, obviously Brock Purdy isn't a system quarterback. He's way past that. He's an MVP kid. But this whole thing about the Niners wanting more credit, I mean, I get it, right? We all want credit, but is that what they need? To me, it's like, hey, go win the Super Bowl. Then we'll give you credit. What do you think about their need and desire for confirmation?
Well, I think he's pushing back on this dialogue that, you know, that diminishes Brock in any way. And what he's really saying is this guy's so damn accurate that he throws it to a spot and his receivers make plays for him. He said he's just so accurate. You watch a lot of his throws. The accuracy gives them a chance to run after the catch, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. So, I mean, you know, we've seen it. I mean, the Niners have great run after the catch weapons. And when you do that, a lot of times people say, well, you throw it. I mean, you've heard it. You throw it short and the guy goes 88 yards. But in reality, the guy's throwing it to a spot, and he's oftentimes throwing it blindly to a spot, and he's hitting his spot on a regular basis. He's throwing it into tight windows, and he's throwing the 50-50 ball, Grant. He's throwing it sometimes into tight windows, and he's putting it right on his receiver's hands consistently. And when you watch it once, it looks accidental. And when you watch it every day, it's high level accuracy. And I think we're all confusing, or some people that are saying that he's a system guy are confusing high level accuracy that results in yards after the catch for his receivers as, oh, he's a product of the system. And yet, that being said, Grant, everybody is a product of the offense they're in. Joe
Montana was a product of his system.
No doubt. I mean, Joe Montana freely admits that Jerry Rice did wonders for his late career. So, I mean,
Yeah.
your weapons definitely help you. There's no question about that.
Look, I agree with Trent. And I mean, I've come around on Brock Purdy. He is a legit MVP candidate. He could win the award. What I take issue with is the way Trent Williams phrased it. And it's not that I have a problem with what he said. I think it revealed something about the Niners' motivation. He said it was a big win, another one. And Trent said, Brock doesn't get enough credit. Man, who cares? First of all, he's going to win the MVP award. So that's debatable. But second of all, who cares what the media says about your quarterback or you guys at week 14? Only thing that matters for you guys is winning the Super Bowl. Credit, you could get all the credit in the world. If you don't win the Super Bowl, you guys don't have any place in football history. I don't like this whole idea of credit. I feel like they've been on the hunt for credit since 2019, and they get it. Everyone says they're the best team in football. Everyone agrees they are the best team in football, but it doesn't matter unless they get the hardware. Right now, they're just the best team on credit. And I wish they would stop that mentality. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I do. I mean, it's like, hey, you're winning, and that's all that should matter. But you know the old saying, Grant, that
he's like in the meta conversation. He's like talking to Nick Wright or me or you.
Right. Well, you know what I think it is I really believe this too. I think that oftentimes teams take on the characteristics of their leaders, and I think there is a part of Brock Purdy, and I think Brock has become one of the leaders on that team as the quarterback. And I just think that Brock plays with a massive chip on his shoulder, and I think that some of that's rubbing off on guys like Trent Williams. That, you know what, he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. We're not being respected. It's the oldest thing in sports. They don't respect us. Whatever motivates you. You know what? Pro athletes, you know it, and I know it. We've both been around it long enough to know. The seasons are long. It's hard to find motivation. And sometimes if they can find motivation by using a Grant Cohn, a Larry Krueger, a media, or just, in general, you know what? My quarterback's not getting respect. He ain't a system quarterback. They'll use whatever they can use. It's a long year. That's what I think.
It's fine. I get it. It just feels like the Niners should be past that. Fourth oldest team in the league. You've been on the doorstep of a championship since before the pandemic. Man, don't talk to me about credit. Everyone calls you guys the best roster in the league. Everyone calls you guys a juggernaut. You got credit. Brock's going to win the MVP. He's got credit. Now win the Super Bowl, because credit doesn't matter. Credit is only matters on television, on YouTube. And if you're concerned about credit, you're concerned about the wrong thing. This team should have been a Super Bowl winner by now.
And what's the main reason they haven't been?
It's ridiculous they haven't won a championship by now. This team is way too good. And the idea that they could find a way to not win a Super Bowl this year is crazy. I mean, they have a new reason every year. There was an injury, there was a drop pick, there was this, there was that. It was Jimmy's fault.
I think the quarterback.
Sorry.
I mean, not to blame. I don't know. I'm hardwired in here. You might be a little laggy today.
Yeah, but it's probably me.
But all I would say is that I think the quarterback has had a lot to do with why the 49ers haven't won the Super Bowl to this point. And I think now they got the right quarterback, and we're going to see if they can get it done. They're in the driver's seat. As of this minute, they're the best team in the NFC, the number 1 seed, and all the other teams that seem to be in the running for this thing seem to have some major flaws. And as we go, these other teams' major flaws get even more major. So this is looking very, very good for the 49ers. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact they haven't had a quarterback. And you have to win in this league. You got to have a quarterback, and they haven't had that guy.
Yeah, I guess all I'm saying is we expect the Niners to win the Super Bowl. We expect Brock Purdy to win the MVP. He's like 2 months away from getting all the credit in the world. Be patient.
Right.
Be patient. Also, where are these Brock Purdy skeptics? I thought I was the last one. They don't exist anymore. We all saw what he did yesterday. He's great. He's really, 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 really ridiculously good. Got it. I don't think there are Brock Purdy skeptics anymore. And yeah, we all recognize that Kyle contributes and he's really good, and the weapons contribute and they're really good. But we all see what Brock does. No one's looking at Brock being like, he's a glorified Nick Mullins. Like, no, he's really good. Now, would he be an MVP candidate on every team? Probably not. But I mean, you could say that about most quarterbacks. Like Patrick Mahomes is kind of struggling on the Chiefs right now, and he's not bad. In fact, he's the greatest. Team matters.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, look at Mahomes right now with you saw a very uncharacteristic Mahomes moment last night, complaining about an offsides call to Josh Allen. He's feeling the frustration. He's feeling the heat. I mean, the Chiefs are supposed to win home games against everybody in December. And here it is mid-December and they're not. So, I talked about it last night on the post game. I asked the audience how many quarterbacks in the league. If every GM in the league called John Lynch and said, we'll give you ours for yours, how many actual quarterbacks would you take for Brock? And I said Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Joe Burrow, Lamar, Allen, and Mahomes are the guys that I would absolutely take for Brock. Everybody else, I got to think about it. And I know there are people that are like, what about Hurts? What about Herbert? What about Lawrence? What about Hall of Famers like Rodgers and Russell and C.J. Stroud and Stafford? They're all good. They're all good quarterbacks. But the guys that I know that I would trade tomorrow for Brock for would be Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Joe Burrow. And even some of the people
is that because Brock's a good fit on this team? Like, what you get with him here? Or if you were if you were like an expansion franchise and building just sort of like a draft board, you would have Brock as your 5th rated quarterback, no matter what you had.
Well, I mean, it's difficult, right? Because Stroud has got a lot of talent, and Lawrence and Herbert are the physical prototypes. But yeah, based on if I was starting my own team, I would want Mahomes and Allen and Lamar and Burrow ahead of Brock. And everybody else, I would take Brock over. And I know that's somewhat controversial. Now, some people would say, you know what? I'd rather have Herbert. I'd rather have Lawrence. Or I'd rather have Stroud. And then other people would say, how could you possibly take Purdy over, Hall of Famers like Stafford and, Rodgers? But I mean, those guys are in their 30s and they, and I'm thinking of them in the present. I'm not thinking of a career achievement award. So, and I even mentioned Prescott.
Think Brock is objectively a better quarterback than Dak?
I think he's better than Dak. I think he throws with anticipation better. I do. I do think he's better than Dak. Now, granted, we're seeing the Dak that we saw. He's been really, really good for the last month. But the quarterback that we saw turned it over 3 times in the second half, and showed some flaws.
True. It's true. I'd like to. I know it doesn't matter, but I just would like to see Brock on any other team. What would Brock look like on Dallas with Mike McCarthy and who's the offensive coordinator over there? Freaking Schottenheimer.
Yeah, that's right, Brian Schottenheimer.
Anyway, Brock Purdy having a great year. Does he need more?